January 7th, 1797. The modern Italian flag is first flown. Also, the modern Italian flag, which is just a bunch of tracksuits. Welcome to The Revisionists. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And we have such a fantastic guest for you tonight. One of Denver's best comics to watch. One of the Pussy Bros, the host of We Still Like You. Please welcome the wonderful, wonderful Rachel Weeks to the show.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Of course, I'm excited to do it.
Zach?
If you are a new listener to this show, which is conceivably possible,
in all possible universes.
Yeah, there's at least 4 or 5. I think on Earth 616,
Yep.
This is a very popular podcast on that planet, I hear. What we do here is we talk about an event or a person from history. One of the people on the show gives the real account of that person and or event. Another person comes up with a banana batshit balls alternate story. And at the end...
I like how of all those words, story was the one you forgot. Or had a hard time
Well,
mustering.
I say banana, batshit, and balls regularly. So, and at the end, the third person judges on which becomes the true history going forward. Just a quick recap of our last episode. We did the Stroganov family, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yep, that was it.
the alternate history one, in which the Stroganov family basically manufactured Russian stereotypes, if I recall
Yeah, basically,
correctly.
that was the business they were in.
Yeah. So,
They held properties that were increasingly smaller.
yes. The Russian nesting dolls, tracksuits. The last one died and accidentally made beef stroganoff in the process.
Thank you, Matt Kobos, for that.
Yes.
But this week we're talking about Sofia. Hang on. I just said it correctly. Sofia Alekseyevna. So, Rachel, you'll be doing the true history.
I will.
And I'll be doing the alternate. So, if we're all ready.
Yeah.
Cool. Take it away.
Sofia Alekseyevna, a Russian badass / Queen Regent kind of thing. Although it's Tsar Regent. Queen Regent is Cersei. I don't know.
And like other people.
And like, sure, that I don't think she's the only example of what a regent is. So Sofia was she was the daughter of Tsar Alexei or Alexis. I don't know. They're Russian. They've got 85 different versions of their name.
Yeah.
Sofia could be spelled with a PH, with an F, with a Y.
I have to give it to modern famous Russian Vladimir Putin for keeping that name nice and clean.
Yeah.
I can't give him a lot of
Appreciate
credit for a lot of stuff, but Vladimir Putin, that's an easy name to remember.
Well, you know his middle name, right?
Do not.
It's Vladimirovich.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
His
Even
name is
easier.
Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin.
Yeah.
That's incredible. The Russians are the best.
I mean,
Maybe even
he's
Russians.
growing on me. Clearly, as this, which is fortunate for us.
I feel like at some point even Russians got sick of Russian names and they were like, what is with this shit? I can't keep track. Raskolnikov, what is this?
That's such a coincidence. My middle name is Rachel Anovich as well. Just keep it, I've got a mystery Russian background.
It's so much mystery. You still kept the Russian name.
Yeah. I don't tell anybody.
Classic
And
Russian.
you're hiding in plain sight.
Classic Russian surname Weeks.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We cut off a whole bunch of syllables when we came over
Ellis
here.
Island.
At Ellis Island, yeah.
So sorry.
But Sofia is really rad. She was the daughter of Tsar Alexei, and she was like not even the first daughter. She was the fourth daughter, fourth daughter, sixth kid.
Ooh.
But she was like the cool one.
It sounds like, if I know Orders of Secession correctly, it sounds like we're going to get some daughter murder or death. I don't know. One of the two.
Surprisingly, not much murder in her story.
Oh, that's a new one for Russian history.
Baffled.
I mean, there's
by the
still murder.
There's still a little murder. I mean, no, she
just a hit.
a hint of murder, a dash of murder.
Yeah.
But like I was reading about how
I think in
the
Russia,
daughters. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I think in Russia the classic introductory line is "How many of your siblings were murdered?" It's just standard like boilerplate getting to know you small talk.
She had all these like sickly brothers. Like all of her brothers were on the verge of death. She had like the two brothers in this story are Ivan and Fyodor, which is Theodore with a lisp. No, it's Fyodor. But both of them were like really sickly, and Ivan was blind, and they kept calling him a half-wit, and I didn't really know what that meant, but he died at 14, so he couldn't have been great. No, he was. No, he died.
Yeah. Hear that, Anne Frank? You've been called out.
Actually, that's not even true.
Sad.
Fyodor was the one who died really young, and that was like 20 or something. But Fyodor was supposed to be smart. But no, they weren't even murdered. They were just like sick and dumb, and then died.
Those bones weren't so lovely.
But like Russian...
Sorry, that's your review for The Lovely Bones on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm just saying, she only made it to whatever, 14.
But like the equivalent of Russian princesses, I forget what they call it. They're like Tsarevnas or something like that. They were usually kept like pretty secluded. Like they couldn't marry European royalty because their religions didn't match up, and they couldn't marry Russian princes because they were like lower in nobility. So basically what they did with these like Russian princesses was lock them in a room until they died. And if they came out of the room, they like surrounded them by like a sheet of red silk and were like, no one can see or hear you, which is like very weird.
It's like a child's game. It's both part. The first part is like what is very now popular, an escape room, although there is no solution to this escape room. And the second part,
most prisons, you realize.
Yeah, it's like a child's game.
It was just like a really plush prison, basically.
I do like
where they kept all of them.
I do like the idea of re-establishing prisons. Like if you went to prison, instead of saying you went to prison, you were just like, yeah, I went to an escape room for 7 years.
I was just really bad at it.
Yeah, if you put that on your resume, no one can say boo about it. Check this box if you spent 5 years or more in an escape room.
But Sofia was like, she was really different. She was like a smart, kind of ambitious girl. And she would try and keep up with like her brother Alexis, and then her brother Fyodor, and Alexis was eventually like, Sophia's pretty smart, she can hang out with the boys. And there's some quote, her teachers who were like all monks said she had an accomplished masculine mind, which is pretty bullshit. Pretty bullshit. But she was like a really smart kid, so by the time she turned 10, her dad was like, okay, you can learn about stuff, I guess. You can come out of your room, I suppose.
Come out from behind the curtain.
Yeah, your little red silk curtain that we've been keeping our 9-year-old girl behind. So she got to have lessons with Fyodor and her half-brother Peter. No. Ivan was really stupid and sickly and blind, so he didn't get taught. And her half brother Peter, who was like super well, but was from her father's second wife, didn't get educated at all. So they were kind of dummies, but they were boys, so they got to go outside.
I would say I would blame like 17th century Russia, but that's still like everywhere up until some places even now. So I can't specifically call them out.
Just a depressing reminder of the world we live in.
Yep.
500 years later. And then so her dad died, and then Fyodor got to the throne. He was like sickly number 1, but he was a smart kid. Died at 20. Bummer. That's
his epitaph.
Yeah.
Weak.
He was like real, and they don't describe what they have. They just called him like he was very frail, like he was a delicate boy. So basically, there was a huge lobbying thing from her father's second wife's family. They were the Narishkinas to get Peter.
He looked around as if one of them
had
was
to find it.
Standing behind you.
Is that how you pronounce it? Peter, where are you?
Offend you.
But so Ivan was like an idiot and blind, and they were like, he's worthless. So they lobbied to get Peter the throne out of order, the order of succession. And Sofia was like, that's not cool. And basically broke all tradition, and she marched behind her dead brother Fyodor's hearse and was like screaming about injustices. She accused the Narishkina family of poisoning and killing her brother. I have a quote from
It's
her.
like an early progressive Westboro Baptist church.
Basically, I mean, she just like lied in front of a whole bunch of people. Like she caused a riot in the Streltsy. My Russian is like my Russian heritage has
when
not.
you're pronouncing the Russian words are the best.
I feel like you have to grimace when you say Russian words.
It's like you're eating raw beef.
The
basically.
language was
Streltsy?
designed so that when you're speaking it, you must grimace.
Oh yeah, so she started a riot in the Streltsy, which is like this. They're basically their household army, like their personal guard. And they were like, the Narishkina family is poisoning my brother. They're trying to take the throne away from me. And she said, here we are left alone with nobody to protect us. My brother Ivan's rights have been passed over most unjustly, and it should be known to all that wicked people hurried on my poor brother Fyodor's death. So basically she was like, hey, you can't skip my dumb blind brother. And
It's,
I mean,
it
the
sounds
way
like
she phrased it is a much stronger argument.
it sounds like a really low rent, like Porky's-esque B-80s comedy.
Porky's-esque.
I don't know, like one of those kind of. I feel like it's a sex romp, but it's also kind of Weekend at Bernie's-ish.
How is it like that?
she's holding him up, puppeting him around. No, he's not dumb and blind.
It's like that
Look at
reality
him.
show, My Dead Dad.
Might.
Just now.
It's called 7 Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter.
Fuck you, John Ritter.
Sorry, John Ritter, I like you. You're great in that one episode of Buffy.
So she started this riot in the army. She got all of the personal guard to basically murder a bunch of the Narishkinas. That's the dash of murder. She killed a couple of significant members of the Narishkina family. Not she personally, but she like stoked the fire, you know? She was like, hey guys, I have an idea.
She Lady Macbeth did.
Totally. And then what she did, she was like, in order to keep the peace, when she had caused the violence, she like struck up this deal where she was like, so what we can do is we can get Ivan to split the throne with Peter, who is 10 years old. He's a 10-year-old boy. And she's like, until Peter can rule, I will rule as the regent. And she did so for 8 years. Pretty well. Like she... Oh, also, I totally skipped over this part, but it's the best. During the time that she was regent, she never got married, she never had kids, but she was fucking 2 people on her panel, on her cabinet, basically. She was having sex with the Minister for Foreign Affairs and the Secretary of State, and that's pretty baller.
I will say this feels
Pretty
like
baller.
with the political plotting and the long con game and the sex with the people who are serving her.
The sex with
This
the
is
people and
perhaps the most Game of Thrones-esque story we've ever had on this show.
Oh, yeah. She's real life Cersei.
Yeah.
Sophia, like super, except she's a little more diplomatic than Cersei, but she's great. Except for Sophia was described as stout and plain, which is not as.
There's a particular photo of her in an event that happens later on in the story. And I was reading an article on it, and the caption was "looking fierce!"
I saw that. Yeah, less than fierce.
Yeah. Well, fierce, like
scary
yeah,
for
like
sure.
She's lived through a Russian lifetime. Fierce.
Yeah, like she would scare the shit out of me for sure, but not like Beyonce fierce.
Right. Exactly.
No. But people were furious because it was the first time that like a woman was in control of the Russian government, because the regent, I mean, she had all ruling powers. So a bunch of people sort of started this fun campaign as they do against her, as they would any woman in power. And they were just like, she's a big, fat, scheming fatty. And that's basically what they did.
Thus inventing the internet.
They just negged the shit out of her. They're like, you big evil fatty, you can't have control. But she actually was really good at her job. She was like very politically savvy. She was very well educated. She imposed laws against like fighting in the streets. She educated.
They really missed out on that one beforehand.
Yeah, I don't understand why that was like totally cool. But she educated people about fire safety in cities, which seems pretty cool.
That's why they call her Sofia the Russian Smokey the Bear. Alekseyevna.
You know, not far off in terms.
Russia, just everyone's fighting in the streets while the town burns around them again.
Like she worked against political corruption. She signed an eternal peace treaty with Poland because you know how Russia is always fighting with Poland. And then she like opened trade routes to China at the time and was like the first sort of Western influenced country to open trade routes with China, which was cool. She also created a college that was Western influenced called the Slavonic Greek Latin Academy, which seems like they couldn't decide on a name and just hyphenated them all, much like they did the Tsars.
Well, now it's SGLU, I think.
There you go.
Go fighting philosophers, barbarians, Gestapo. No, that's I guess. Yeah.
What a terrible mascot. The fighting secret police.
Oh no. Too real.
The fighting bread lines.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just not in the streets.
Just beating each other with giant.
The fighting
loaves of
water.
bread.
Use water. It puts out fires.
Enemy of fire.
How are you just discovering this? I've been holding this one under my hat for when I take power.
It's like maybe don't keep your coal burning
Fighting
stoves on all night, please.
The fighting Siberian forced labor worker.
But predictably, it didn't work out because she's a female leader in 1680 or whatever. And eventually, Peter did come of age and had to take over. He also developed like this crazy paranoia that Sofia was trying to murder him, which she wasn't really, but she did want to like maintain power until she died. So what ended up happening was Peter turned 17, and obviously he's ready to be king now.
Because when you're 17,
you know what's up for the Russia. Know all about tundra politics and
Yeah. You dramatically punch a wall in front of your friends because a girl doesn't like you.
except in this case, the wall is Turkey.
Yeah.
But yeah, Peter took a break from all of his puberty to lock her up in a convent. Was just like, well, my half sister's trying to stage a coup. Make her a nun.
Makes sense. Like a convent is also where you go to take a break from your puberty.
Yeah. Well, he actually ran away to a monastery. He was afraid he was going to get murdered, so he like went to hang out with the monists. What the hell is that? Why can't I think of that word? Monks. Is that it?
Yeah.
I thought it was monk, but then I was like, is it friar? No, that's Catholic. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Actually, yeah, in Russian Orthodox, I don't know what it is. It might.
What it would be? Probably a monk. I
It's
feel like
secret
a monk
police.
is right.
I'm pretty sure it's just secret police.
Oh yeah, the religion of Russia is just suppression, violent suppression.
Actually, yeah, that's. And potatoes, I think, are in there too.
Oh yeah, sure. Very very close to Ireland, actually. Just different kind of.
Slightly different kind of suppression.
Sure,
Yeah, their alcohol is colored differently.
But so she went to the nuns. She didn't take the veil for like a decade, and the people, like, she had some followers still, and they tried to rise up against her and put Sofia back in power, but they failed. And they didn't tell Sofia they were doing this, but they still murdered all the rebels and hung them from the convent. Like, they took a bunch of dead bodies and like hung them in her window.
Yeah.
Which doesn't seem in the spirit of a convent.
Until you realize that is how the Russians celebrate Christmas.
But basically, all of her rebel friends got murdered, and she took the veil and died like a religious lady alone. Yeah, she spent the last like 6 years of her life in solitary confinement.
Yeah, like the other nuns were only allowed to like see her face
Yeah.
like on Christmas and Easter.
God.
Classic Creaster.
Come from that red curtain, go back to that red curtain, right? Mm-hmm. The red curtain. I mean, we didn't even mention that red curtain, of course, being a metaphor for Russia.
I was going to say, yeah, hide them under a veil of communism.
It was made of iron and Ronald Reagan's. Rachel, thank you.
Of course. Yeah, it was a fun story to read about.
Let me preface this by saying I wrote this alternate history while I was very sick and not quite in my right mind. So I'm going to try to read this as verbatim as possible because I think that'll be funnier. So Sofia Alekseyevna was born the daughter of Tsar Alexei, brother of Ivan, parentheses weak, and her half-brother Peter. And she was shielded from view by a curtain because Russians believed all young girls were telepaths, and covering the girls prevented them from using their mind powers and consolidating their power.
It's a
That's
classic
just a safety
Magneto
curtain.
helmet situation.
That might be coming up in a minute. And also prevents them from discovering the secrets of getting drunk off potatoes. She was tutored by, Russian monks, and she developed a really powerful mind. By the way, all Russian men had interactions with women wearing Magneto helmets and yelling and covering their ears. I'm, again, reading this verbatim from my sick notes. Aristocracy had Magneto helmets. Some shit-ass Siberian goat herds had like dung and gold, which is not very valuable. Think lobsters. I don't know what that means.
Dung and gold, think lobsters?
Yeah, because
Lobsters full of
gold
poop
wasn't
and gold?
valuable at the time. Like lobsters used to be like trash fish, I guess. I don't know.
Oh man, I am only calling lobsters trash fish now. You eating that trash fish?
Going down to red trash fish for some cheddar bay biscuits.
That's more accurate, I think.
But
Red trash fish just doesn't have the same selling potential, though, I have to say.
as red lobster?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, when you put trash in the name of a restaurant, generally it doesn't do as well.
I don't know. McDonald's is doing all right. Boom! That was terrible.
How long were you teeing that one up?
About 0.5 seconds when it came into my head.
Fair, to be
Because
fair.
we are having this conversation in real time.
I just picture you driving over here like, oh man, I hope someone mentions something about trash restaurants. I'm sitting on gold. So yeah, she had so much internal power with a society that wouldn't let her direct it anywhere. And then her father died either of poison or of Russia. And
Death by Russia.
that's how it works.
Dying by poison and dying by Russia are almost the same thing.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, poison counts as natural causes in Russia, I think.
basically.
Well, we made it from berries. He wasn't supposed to eat them, but they were natural berries.
I think
have
secret
literally-
police counts as a natural cause in Russia.
We have literally discussed, I think on our last episode or the one before, that every tombstone in Russia before about 1800 ends with poisoned?
Yeah, Sofia definitely took advantage of that. It's like, he was poisoned. And they're like, everyone was poisoned.
It's believable. Let's get them.
We should stop having our crop farms next to our poison farms.
The Big Poison was not in favor of that. Sorry, Big Poison is a poison cover band made up of people with gigantism. Sorry, I wish that was the
I felt
dumbest
bad
thing
about
I've
my
ever
McDonald's
said.
joke.
Oh my
I felt so
God.
bad about my
That's a
McDonald's
tweet. Are you
joke until that happened.
I will tweet that later. And factions lined up between Ivan and Peter, but Sofia and many others realized that was really a choice between a wiener and a turd. Ivan was too feeble to rule and Peter was too young. So Sofia proposed a solution to the boyards, who of course made her wear a Frankenstein mask to protect them from her powerful mind beams.
Yes.
She proposed to rule as Ivan's regent until
Frankenstein or Frankenstein's monster.
No, Dr. Frankenstein mask.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Just to satisfy you, a Dr. Frankenstein mask. Great.
That's a scarier mask. People don't think about it.
I like how willing you are to accept that possibility. So she proposed to rule as Ivan's regent until he dies or Peter comes of age, whichever comes last. And so She takes power, signs the Treaty of Eternal Peace with Poland, which also there was a huge asterisk in that no one noticed until the 1940s. She opened trade with China. She was responsive to the concerns of small towns. She established legal rights for runaway serfs, in that they had the legal right to defend themselves, which is like the least you could possibly do. But
we're not going to help you, but you can help yourself.
He's probably not going to work out, but you have the right.
Best of luck to you.
The slogan of Russia is Russia helps them who help themselves.
The man who was her Minister of Foreign Affairs, Vasily Golitsyn, got a lot
also fuck buddy.
Yeah. Well, wait.
One of them. Fuck buddy question mark? Poison?
Well, like from my research, he sort of just pestered her a lot and like was telling everyone they were fuck buddies. And she was just like
not fuck buddies. He was a fuck boy.
Yeah,
he was trying to be.
He coined the phrase, "Why don't girls ever like nice guys like me?" 20 years later, after the fact,
he invented the fedora.
He invented the hot take.
Back in Russia,
nobody would have guessed fedora is actually a Russian hat.
Back in Russia, they used to, instead of friend zoned, they used to say Siberian.
Oh man,
gulagged. But all this time, Peter's getting older, but he's still sort of dissolute in his habits. He was supposed to go to meet with Sofia at the Moscow Kremlin, but he
Did you say gremlin, by
the
way?
Yeah, I made a very minor change in my alternate.
A little gremlin with a little mohawk goes to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs?
Wait, what?
Have you not seen the movie Gremlins?
No, I have seen Gremlins. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Okay. It's just like, I was taken aback by your suddenly high-pitched tone of voice.
It was a bit of a Hollywood Handbook affectation.
So instead of meeting with her, Peter feigned illness and disappeared for an afternoon in Chicago for 6 months. Chicago having just been invented at the time.
He basically just went, I'm sick, and then ran.
Boo, you whore. Yeah. And there, with his girlfriend and best friend, they stole a Ferrari, go to the Art Institute, and interrupt a parade, also invent parades. And Sofia was confronted at every turn with people expressing their concern over Peter's health, even painting, like, Save Peter on the Moscow water tower while she's doing all of the work. And
waiting for Charlie Sheen to show up in this story here.
I don't think I did that. Anyway, Sofia is doing all the work and running the empire while Peter is getting all the sympathy and all the attention because he's the male heir. He's also being pursued by Principal Rooney. He returns while Sofia's still done all the work, but Peter's popularity is so overwhelming that the factions line up behind him, and she is forced into a convent where she is forced to wear the veil again, bringing the story I wrote when I was completely full of mucus full circle.
Okay. Here's what I'm thinking. I always like the stories that feature women who manage to wrest control from an unfair system because they are worthy of highlighting, and the degree of difficulty is far greater than equivalent stories for male characters of a similar time or even earlier. Here's the thing. I'm considering Brian's alternate on the condition that his use of the phrase Russian gremlin is accurate, and that in the Kremlin there is a gremlin who advises people in various pursuits and ideologies who theoretically still exist to this day.
There is a Russian gremlin in control of the Russian government, which is in control of our government.
Yeah, basically, which will soon be run by an American gremlin.
The brainy gremlin from Gremlins 2 has become the leader of the world.
Oh, God damn it.
If you are willing to say that is a canonical part of your history, I'll go with the alternate.
I mean, I am willing to say that. It is in my notes.
Oh, yeah, footnote. Brainy gremlin from Gremlins 2 now in control of world.
Well, I'm glad that one letter change won it for me. Before we go, we did recently launch our Patreon campaign, and I want to say a big thank you to Kevin Corpy for his generous. There we go.
It's generous. It's not great. Like, it could have been more.
Thank you for your pledge. Different rewards are like voting on the outcome of shows, suggesting topics, or at the Jeff Tice designed T-shirt, which is very thankful for his work on that.
Worth noting, you can theoretically now, if you pledge, get a chance to vote. So it is no longer a dictatorship. The judge's vote will count for but one, I believe, and then we'll go
more or less. Yeah. Thank you to Kevin Corby for that. You can also leave us a comment, ask us a question, and find links to all of our stuff on our website, revisionistpodcast.com. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and review the podcast on iTunes.
Yeah. I say it's not a dictatorship, but really, since you have to pledge to get a vote, it's kind of a kleptocracy.
Yeah, I was going to well, we don't say that part in a kleptocracy. You don't let it on. You just call it a republic and just keep moving. Trenchant commentary. Mm-hmm. Before we leave, Rachel, you are going to be at the Oriental Theater coming up January 12th.
Yep. Ben Kronberg is headlining. He is spectacular. Recently featured on a Slim Jim commercial. So, pretty big deal.
I have not seen that one yet.
Oh, man. It's great. He's exactly who you want representing Slim Jims.
Like, in terms of Slim Jim commercials, where does it rank in the hierarchy?
I gotta say my knowledge of Slim Jim commercial history isn't great.
We'll have to have you back for our Slim Jim commercial
I was going to say, new segment.
Of course, the Macho Man Randy Savage era. And I know more about Slim Jim commercials than anyone needs to.
I mean, everybody's thought process goes Macho Man Randy Savage, Ben Kronberg. That's the natural progression.
Yeah. I think that's probably Ben Kronberg's natural progression in Slim Jim history.
Yeah. Just that's what he has taped on his vision board every morning.
Yeah,
a picture of Macho Man Randy Savage snapping into a Slim.
Over his mirror, he has put a poster of Macho Man Randy Savage.
That's why his hair always looks like it does. But Rachel, you're also one of the members of Pussy Bros.
I am, yep.
With former guests Chrissy Buckley and Janae Burris.
Yeah.
Like the best comedy team in town.
Thank you so much.
And you are always worth seeing wherever listeners can find you.
That would be great. Yeah, I run shows. Pussy Bros runs shows first Fridays at the Comedy Room in Denver. It's great.
And Zach, Stage of Fools is continuing
ongoing
apace.
Yeah, I think the day this airs, perhaps the day after, the first episode that was recorded live and in person with both hosts will be released. So that was fun and enjoyable. I think it's episode 304. So
okay.
Not 304, season 3, episode 4.
And again, Stage of Fools chronicles the extras. The Royals.
Yes, a terrible show that decided it had the right to name every episode after Hamlet.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Wait,
a line from Hamlet.
They're
is
still
used
doing
as the
that?
title of every single episode of the show. Yeah.
Are they still like anywhere close to Hamlet?
No, of course not.
Okay. Because I just saw the first season and they were
the villain just got his confidence back by fucking a body double of himself.
I gotta see this show again. I gotta catch up. That's amazing. Oh, okay. Stage of Fools. Well, listeners, I think that'll do it for this episode. Rachel, thank you so much for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course. For everyone here at The Revisionists, I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
Have a good time.
Have a good time.
Out with the bang.
I'm gonna get the gunshot next episode.